When is he going to do it? When he take over this earth. When his kingdom come, he's going to rule all nations with a rod of iron. You're going to follow his laws and statutes. But in the meantime, if you following him, you got to deal with the serpent and the persecution that he putting on him and his seed. Because it said he going to bruise the Lord's heel. Skip down to verse 13 and let's read about it. Go ahead.
And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
See, that's all the dragon can do. He going to do something in the meantime before his time is up. So it said when he got cast out, that's what his job been. He been persecuting the woman which brought forth the man-child. That's why he said, he told you in Genesis 3, I'm going to put enmity between thee and the woman, didn't he? Mm-hmm. And between your seed and her seed. But now let's go to Jeremiah 20, because we can't read all of these things, but we're just going to look at a couple of high points, a couple of examples on how this persecution been going on. And if you're going to serve the Lord today, you got to be ready for it because it continues until this day. Jeremiah 20. See, we think people love the servants of God in the Bible. We think people love Jeremiah and Isaiah. We think people love even Jesus. Look, I'm here to show you people have always been hating God's servants, including Jeremiah, including Jesus. Jesus was not loved. He was hated. And that should let you know that he's not really loved today. I don't care how many people call on him. They really don't love him because they don't accept his doctrine. But now Jeremiah 20:1, let's look at it. Go ahead.
Now Pashur, the son of Immer, the priest, who was also chief governor in the house of the Lord, heard that Jeremiah prophesied these things. Then Pashur smote Jeremiah the prophet and put him in the stocks that were in the high gates of Benjamin, which was by the house of the Lord.
See, don't nobody teach us stuff like this. Jeremiah was a great prophet. He's well known. We got the book of Jeremiah we're reading right here. But now Jeremiah was persecuted. Who was he persecuted? He wasn't persecuted by drug dealers, by people hanging out on the street, wine heads. Was he persecuted by them? No, he was persecuted by other would-be religious people. The ones that's in control of things. The big shot religious leaders. That's who he was persecuted by because he didn't come according to their false doctrine. He was out of the norm. So it say, now Pashur, the son of Immer, the priest, who was also himself chief governor in the house of the Lord, when he heard that Jeremiah prophesied these things, he smote Jeremiah. That means he beat him up and he put him in jail. He locked him up because he had the power, because he working for the serpent. Because we saw the enmity between the serpent and his seed and the woman and her seed. Jeremiah's of the woman's seed. But Pashur, he's of the serpent seed. But he's an unlikely person. You wouldn't think he's of the serpent seed because he's a religious man. He's chief governor in the house of the Lord. This show you the religious persecution was in force right here. Skip down to verse 6 and go ahead.
And thou, Pashur, and all that dwell in thy house shall go into captivity, and thou shalt come to Babylon, and there thou shalt die, and thou shalt be buried there, thou and all thy friends to whom thou hast prophesied lies.
See, Jeremiah still told him what was going to happen to him. Jeremiah didn't stop preaching the truth because the man beat him up and had him locked up. He said, you prophesied lies, you're going to go into slavery and you're going to die. But go ahead, verse 7.
O Lord, thou hast deceived me, and I was deceived.
Go ahead.
Thou art stronger than I, and hast prevailed. I am in derision daily. Everyone mocketh me.
See, now Jeremiah, once he got through prophesying to Pashur, he prayed to the Lord. He said, Lord, you fooled me. I'm in derision daily. These people mocking me. See, this is what you up against when you're going to serve the Lord the right way in a wicked world. Jeremiah was up against it, but all the servants of God have been up against it, even including Jesus himself. So how you going to skate through this? You got to gird up and be ready. He said, Lord, you deceived me. You stronger than me. I am in derision daily. They are mocking me. So when you start believing in the word of God, don't be surprised when somebody mock you and they talk about you. Oh, you don't have to do that. Even other church-going people. But go ahead, verse 8.
For since I spake, I cried out. I cried violence and spoil, because the word of the Lord was made a reproach unto me.
See, the word of the Lord made a reproach unto you. You think it's going to be good when you believe in the word, which ultimately it is because you're going to get salvation. But in the meantime, you got to deal with some persecution. It's going to be made a reproach unto you. People are going to dislike you for believing in the word. Isn't that a shame? But this is the world we live in. Go ahead.
And a derision daily. Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name.
Now, verse 9, Jeremiah, he suffered so much. He said, I'm not going to even talk about the Lord no more. They don't want to hear it. They like hearing what the false preachers and pastors giving them. I'm not going to even speak in the name of the Lord no more. Go ahead.
But his word was in my heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones. And I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay.
See, he said, but the word was like fire shut up in my bones. We heard that before, but why did it get that way? Because Jeremiah suffered persecution. And he said, I'm not going to even talk no more. But he couldn't hold it in. Because once you know the truth, you're going to have to tell it, even though you know somebody going to dislike it. Go ahead, verse 10.
For I heard the defaming of many here on every side. Reports say they, and we will report it. All my familiars watch from my halting, saying, peradventure he will be enticed, and we shall prevail against him, and we shall take our revenge on him.
Now Jeremiah said he heard the defaming of many. He heard many people talking about him. And even his familiars, that's his friends and families, they were saying, well, peradventure, we're going to overcome him. He going to stop following that stuff. He in that code over there. That's what they was talking about Jeremiah. But Jeremiah said, look, I got to keep going now. But let's go to Matthew, the 23rd chapter. Matthew, the 23rd chapter, and pick it up at verse 29. Matthew 23 and verse 29. Go ahead.
Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because ye build the tombs of the prophets, and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets.
See what he said? He said, he said, woe unto them, the scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because ye build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous. He said, woe unto these religious people. Woe unto these big shot religious hypocrites, because they act like they love God's servants. Even Jeremiah was one of the prophets, and the other prophets who they persecuted, they said, oh, we love Jeremiah, and they garnished the sepulchres of them. But he said, look, and then they said, verse 30, if we had been in their days of our fathers, we wouldn't have been against the prophets like they were. So everybody knew they was against the prophets. But go ahead, verse 31.
Wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves, that ye are the children of them which kill the prophets. Fill ye up then the measure of your fathers, ye serpents, ye generations of vipers. How can ye escape the damnation of hell?
See, he said, look, you witness that you are the people, the children of the ones that kill the prophet. Because why? They are all the children of the serpent. So all of this is the same as it was from the beginning when the Lord said the serpent seed was going to persecute the woman's seed. You got this battle going on even with Jesus. We saw Jeremiah dealing with it. Now we see Jesus. Who is he dealing with? Other religious people. But go ahead, verse 34.
Wherefore, behold, I sent unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them ye shall kill and crucify, and some of them shall ye scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth.
See, go ahead.
From the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zechariah, son of Barachas, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar.
See, now Jesus said, I'm going to send you some more. I'm going to send you some more righteous people, and you're going to continue to persecute it. That lets you know the persecution was in force, and it was going to continue. But now let's go look at it further. Mark the 3rd chapter. Mark the 3rd chapter and pick it up at verse 20. Mark 3 and verse 20. Go ahead.
And the multitude came together again, so that they could not so much as eat bread. And when his friends heard of it, they went out to lay hold on him, for they said, he is beside himself.
See, now Jesus was dealing with this persecution wholesale, even by friends and family. It was so many people believing in him, but yet and still he wasn't in the norm of the big religious organizations. So his own friends and family said, this dude is beside himself. They went out to get him. They said, let's go get him, man. He out there starting a cult. Let's go get him. They said Jesus was beside himself. So don't be surprised if they say you done lost your mind. That's what they said. What else they said? What did the religious people say about him? Verse 22.
And the scribes which came down from Jerusalem said, he hath Beelzebub, and by the prince of the devils cast he out devils.
See, they told Jesus had the chief devil, and that's the power that he was using to cast out other devils, because he had Beelzebub. Now we talking about Jesus, the one that everybody nowadays claim to love. They didn't love him back here. Jesus was hated back here, even by religious people. Let's go to Mark the 6th chapter. Mark the 6th chapter and pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead.